Why does everyone think it's haunted anyway?
They don't think it's haunted. They know it's haunted.
You don't think. Oh, yeah!
No, I can't.
See, it's not so bad. What is it that scares you so much?
So I've had this feeling that there's something down there.
Hello! We're all getting into the spirit, getting ready for Halloween. I've seen a lot of your videos, a lot of the videos of my subscribers at least. I mean, a lot of the videos of the people I'm subscribed to. A lot of people have been putting out these best of lists or just different thoughts about the holiday season, the holiday being Halloween, and how they get excited for Halloween and what they do to get ready for it. And yeah, I decided that I wanted to get in the Halloween spirit too. I've always had an affinity for such things. And what I decided to do was acquire all 7 seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was the horror anthology show for kids that used to air on Nickelodeon. And it was my favorite show when I was a kid. I love this show. And what I did was I watched season 1. Now this show aired from 1992 to 1996. And then there was a 3-year break. They brought it back in 1999 and 2000. So seasons 6 and 7, I haven't really seen. That was after my time. That's when I switched from Nickelodeon to MTV. So I think what I'm going to do is watch the first 5 seasons and review each of them here on YouTube. It'll give me something to do. It'll give me a reason to keep making videos because, as you know, I can tend to slack off sometimes. And, yeah, I'll rank each season, tell you which one was my favorite, everything that you would expect. And season 1, I haven't watched the other seasons yet, so I don't really have much to compare it to, but overall I enjoyed it. I thought it was very enjoyable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank each of these episodes out of 5. Out of 5 bags of magic sugar. Because as you know, they always throw that weird fairy dust on the fire before each episode. And, well, basically, I'm sure pretty much everyone watching this video has seen the show, or else you wouldn't be interested. But in case you've never seen the show, it's basically about these 7 Canadian kids. It's a Canadian show. I actually think it's set in America, though. There's a couple of times where there's money on the show, and it's American money. There's 7 kids with different backgrounds who go to different schools, but for some reason they know each other. I guess they know each other because of the club, which I'm pretty sure you find out in a later season that the club's been going on for a long time. And the club they're all in is called the Midnight Society. They meet at night in the middle of the woods, and they take turns telling ghost stories. And the first episode of the show, a kid gets initiated. So you see how people are initiated. They're led out into the woods with a blindfold. They have to tell a story. And if all the other members of the group decide that it was scary enough, then they get to join the group. So anyways, each week, a different one of these kids tells a scary story. What I really love about the show is it's so PC and so made for kids and so safe. I mean, it's a horror show, but nothing bad ever happens. I mean, bad things do happen. They actually do have bad endings sometimes, but what I mean is nothing bad ever happens on screen. You never see anyone get decapitated or raped or anything like that. And there's a lot of relationship talk on the show, because kids love that, you know. They act like they don't, but kids get really excited to see other kids on TV go through love troubles. But yeah, you know, there's never any talk of sex, of course. You hardly ever see people kiss either. I'm not sure if you ever see anyone kiss on the lips. There's kissing on the cheek, though, sometimes on the show. So that's what happens. Each episode, someone different tells a story, scary story, and usually the wraparound has something to do with the show. There's always an opening with the kids. Sometimes there's a cold open of the story, but usually there's an opening with the kids surrounded by the campfire. One of them will tell the first act of their story, then it'll pop back to them, the kids comment on the story, it'll go back, there'll be the second and third act, or just the second act, and then it'll pop back to the kids for a closing bit. So yeah, that's basically how the show goes each week. And I've ranked each episode on this season. I won't have much to say about some of them, though. I'm just going to go through these, and I'll list everything in the description box. I'll put the rating I had for each episode and my overall rating for the season and all that. And I'm going to rank the episodes 1 through 13. There was 13 episodes. But just to tell you right now, my favorite episode was Tale of the Lonely Ghost. This is a classic, real classic. You've probably seen this one. It's this girl, she's kind of a mousy, quiet girl who's a little shy, and she likes to read books, which automatically endeared her to me. And her parents are going on a boring archaeology dig, and she doesn't want to go with them to look at boring old rocks all summer, so she has to go stay with her aunt and her cousin is a real bitch. And she has red hair. She kind of looks like Molly Ringwald. You know, she wears the acid wash jeans. She's got big red hair. She always wears big red lipstick, and she's just a total bitch. And the main character really wants to hang out with her, or else her summer's going to be really boring. So her cousin tells her, you know, if you want to hang out with me and my friends, you got to spend the night in this haunted house, which happens to be in my backyard, or next door, or whatever. And so when she goes to do that, she encounters a ghost. And this episode is really, I think, one of the things that determines whether an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark is going to be good. The main thing is the acting, because it's hard to find child actors who are talented. When the main character of the story is bad, I find it very difficult to get into it. But the girl who played the main character on this episode was fan-fucking-tastic. Really good. She's really easy to empathize with. She's very likable. She does the terror great. Her scream is awesome. It's not like a Macaulay Culkin dead-eyed Home Alone scream. She really looks terrified when she screams on this episode, which I'm going to get to it later. I have a list of funny tropes or things that reoccur in a lot of these episodes. One of them is definitely a scream from the main character. They always have some Home Alone type screen where the camera closes in on them and their uvula, or what do you call it? What's that little thing that wiggles in the back of your throat? They always have a good close-up on that when the main character screams. But yeah, to tell you the truth, this episode, it actually brought a tear to my eye, when the ending of it, because it's probably mostly out of nostalgia. If you've never seen this show before and you watched it for the first time, I'm sure it wouldn't make you cry. But you'd probably enjoy it. I mean, it's only 22 minutes, and it goes by real fast. And there's always... The one thing I really like about the show is there's almost never, like, 2 minutes that go by without any story development. Stories just move. They have to. They don't have a choice, because the wraparound probably takes about 5 minutes total. And each episode's only about 22 minutes, so you only have about 17 minutes to tell a full story. So the story's always moving. And even if you're not enjoying the episode, at least, you know, it has a good pace to it. This episode also, the girl playing the bitch, the bad girl with the red hair, she was amazing. Really believable as just a stuck-up, mean bitch. The little ghost girl, I thought she was great. That's the main thing that you'll probably remember out this episode. It's a little pale ghost girl in a yellow dress, kind of looks like Anne Frank. And there was an older lady in the episode, kind of a spooky older woman, and she was great. She was really good. At the end of this, I think at each season I'm going to pick a Best Actor award. And it's never going to be any of the cast members, just people from the stories. And it'll never be an adult, because usually the adults on the show are pretty good. Yeah, just picking out of the Best Child Actor. Another episode I really liked, which is probably my number 2 episode. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided on all the rankings yet, but it'll be in the description box. This is Tale of the Dark Music. This was a really good one. It's about this kid who moves into a new house. He's got a really annoying little sister. He's getting bullied by this metalhead in town who looks just like Dave Mustaine with long curly hair. And he's really funny as the bully. But the basic gist of this one is in the basement of the house, if you play music, the closet opens up and evil shit goes down. This episode I really love. It had really fun stock music in it. Cool, lots of cool shots of old... their early 90s radios. The main actor in it, he was really good. He did a really good job. Very easy to empathize with. He kind of plays a nerdy guy who has a paper route, which constantly gets into the trouble with the bully. What I love is this episode actually kind of has... It's one of the few episodes where the main character becomes evil. Because in this episode, spoiler alert, I'm spoiling all these, I'm sure no one cares, but he ends up hoodwinking the bully into getting trapped into his basement. He plays some music, which they did a really good job with the storytelling here, because at the beginning of the show, he finds this old radio down in the basement, and he tells his mom she's got to hit the light switch so he can turn it on, and the light switch happens to be upstairs. So at the end of the episode, he's able to lock the bully into the basement and turn on the music with the light switch upstairs, so he doesn't get sucked into the hellish closet, just the bully does. And earlier in the episode, the bully had destroyed his bicycle. When he allows the closet to feed on the bully, the closet gives him a brand new bicycle. And it's kind of implied at this end of this episode that the kid will continue to use this closet to his advantage for the rest of his life and continue to feed poor victims to it. And it's even hinted at that he's going to feed his little sister to it because she's been being a real jerk to him the whole episode. But then, and I love this, at the end of the episode, the person who was telling the story said, "Oh, yeah, he didn't feed his little sister to it. He just made sure she didn't mess with him anymore," which I really loved because, well, it's kind of rare that there's horror shows for kids, and being a big fan of horror, I love that the kid says that he didn't feed his little sister to it, because it's rare that anything in horror really holds back or pulls any punches, and so I always get a kick out of seeing this show pull its punches for the kids. Okay, another episode I really liked was Laughing in the Dark. The main kid in this was really good. It's about a clown, which is always scary, and yeah, just a really enjoyable episode. Tale of the Phantom Cab. I've heard a lot of people don't really care for this one. This is the first sighting of Dr. Vink, who's sort of this older, creepy older guy with a big giant beard and long hair. Kind of looks like the, I don't know, that big pedophile guy from the Harry Potter series. But yeah, he becomes a reoccurring character, Dr. Vink. I think he's only in Frank's stories. But this episode I really enjoyed because of the actor who plays the older brother. There's sibling episodes are usually some of my favorite of the show. I really like the way they handle siblings. It's very easy for a show to define its characters quickly with siblings, because siblings are usually pretty honest with each other, you know. You could say really mean things to your brother that you wouldn't say to one of your friends. And I think when there's siblings in the show, they really define their characters real quick. Older brother picks on little brother. The little brother's smart. The older brother's strong. Boom. Characters defined so quickly and easily in this one. And yeah, this one I really loved. There's a really creepy taxi cab driver named Flynn, who's a really good, memorable character. And they have to solve a riddle on the show, which I thought was really fun. This kid who plays the older brother, who's sort of bullying his little brother the whole episode, he's so aggressive and angry. It's just hilarious. Like, I literally thought he was going to beat the shit out of him at any minute, which would have been fun. Okay, so those are the 4 episodes of this season that I ranked 5 out of 5. These are the essential ones. I think the classics that really come to my mind when I think about Are You Afraid of the Dark from this season. There's a few other episodes I rated 4 out of 5. Tale of the Pinball Wizard. This is a classic. This one is involves a kid who's at the mall, and he loves video games, and he ends up getting stuck in this pinball machine, which sort of transforms the entire mall into a big pinball game. And it's really clever and fun the way they turn this mall into like a video game. I really enjoyed that. Especially the ending of the episode's great, because the whole episode you haven't really seen the pinball. And at the end, the pinball shows up and it's at the top of the escalator, which just makes a perfect ramp for a pinball, if you think about it. But the reason I only gave this episode 4 out of 5 is the main character. I didn't think the actor was particularly strong in this one. It is a really fun episode. It's definitely a classic because it's got 90s malls and video games. A lot of the soundtrack is kind of video gamed up, which is really fun. Tale of the Prom Queen. This is a really fun one, but the thing is, it has a very similar story to the Tale of the Dream Girl, which is probably one of my favorite episodes of the whole series and a lot of people's favorite. So this episode is kind of like a weaker version of that, but it's fun. There's 2 boys in it who are friends, and one of them is supposed to be kind of the troublemaker, the sort of douchier of the 2, and the other one's kind of the good-looking sort of stoic love interest type guy. But the annoying guy, I thought he was great on this. He did a really good job. 4 out of 5 because the girl in the episode, I didn't think she was too strong. Tale of the Twisted Claw. This was one of my favorites when I was a kid. It's about these 2 boys who go out on Halloween, which is very appropriate for here today. Actually, it's the night before Halloween, the night of Mischief. I think it's called something like that. I've never been too aware of it. I've never caused mischief on October 30th, to be honest with you. But the boys go out. They go to this house that's supposedly haunted. They spray shaving cream all over this lady's face, and she knocks over her vase, and it kind of pisses her off. Of the 2 boys, one is kind of the stock hero, and the other one's a bit more adventurous and annoying. And the annoying one decides that he's so greedy for candy, he decides that they should go trick-or-treat at this house that they just burglarized the night before. Or actually where they assaulted the woman. They didn't actually burglarize it, but instead of giving them candy, the lady decides to trick them. She gives them this claw that will grant you wishes. For all the wishes something bad happens. And I loved this episode as a kid, but watching it again, I didn't think the two child actors were as strong as I remembered, and kind of killed the enjoyment of the episode for me. But it's still a really good story, and I like the way it plays out. So 4 out of 5, and the nostalgia, because I just loved it as a kid. Okay, now the rest of the episodes of this season were not as memorable, not as fun for me to watch. Tale of the Super Specs. This episode actually has a bad ending, and it was really scary as a kid. There's one moment in the episode where the screen goes black, and there's just these two eyes that pop up, and there's all this black makeup on the face, and they do look really creepy. I remember that scaring me a lot as a kid, and the ending scared me too. But watching it again, it's about these glasses that the kids can put on. It lets them see these altered dimension beings who kind of look like the Putty, the bad guys from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, except they're in all black. And just wasn't as scary as I remembered. The acting wasn't as good. The boy in this episode's good. He's really fun. He's kind of the stock 90s black character with a high top fade, sort of like the black guy who drives the taxi cab in Die Hard. You know, that sort of stock, jovial, young black man character from the 90s. There was lots of stereotypical characters like that in movies, but yeah, the girl in this episode was pretty bad. She has to do a scream, and it's nowhere near as good as the girl from The Tale of the Lonely Ghost. So I gave that one 3 out of 5. Tale of the Nightly Neighbors. This is basically Fright Night redone for kids, and yeah, this episode didn't leave a huge impression on me, but it was fun, and it had a cool twist at the end, and it had a bad ending, so I gave this one 3 out of 5. Tale, Jake, and the Leprechaun. This one had actually a pretty cool story, and it featured a midget actor who was really good. I really enjoyed his performance, and it was an Irish-themed episode, which I thought was fun. I kind of like Irish culture, but the main character in this episode just wasn't too strong. He kind of looked like an uglier Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and he sort of brought this episode down. The villain in this episode is very scary looking. That always scared the shit out of me as a kid. He's called a banshee, but not really a banshee you've ever thought of before. He just kind of looks like a creepy troll, but the makeup on this one really scared the shit out of me as a kid, so I'll give that one 3 out of 5. Sorcerer's Apprentice. To be honest with you, I had a hard time paying attention to this episode. I guess it's about this Egyptian kind of sorcerer who wants to come back from the dead, and he's using kids in this high school as his sort of minions to do his will and bring him back through sacrifices and whatnot. I couldn't really pay much attention to this one. It didn't hold my interest, and I'm just giving it 2 out of 5. Tale of the Hungry Hounds as well. Kind of a boring one. Didn't really do much for me. 2 out of 5. And lastly, definitely going to be last on my list, is the Tale of the Captured Souls. This episode was really painful to watch, and it was the first one I watched when I got season 1 of the show, and it really got it off to a bad start, and it worried me because it'd been a few years since I'd watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I was thinking, damn, maybe the show wasn't that great, maybe I just liked it because I was a kid and I liked horror. That was definitely not the case. I did get a lot of enjoyment out of a lot of these episodes, but this one was just really bad. The acting was so terrible in it, between the two, the main girl who played the main character of the episode and the villain who was also a kid in this episode. Her parents were actually pretty good, though. Her dad kind of looked like a mix between Billy D. Williams and Snoop Dogg. Well, he sort of looked like Snoop Dogg. He had this really awesome jerry curl. Kind of a jerry curl, but it was dry. But he acted like Billy D. Williams, and he was just great. He was a lot of fun in this episode, but he wasn't in it that much. It was mainly the girl, and I just thought she was awful. I just thought this episode was terrible. Just no fun at all. Okay, so another thing I wanted to do is, this season I want to rank the cast members, the reoccurring cast members from the wraparound, the Midnight Society. There's 7 of them in this season. I'm going to rank them in my order of favorites. Okay, number 7 for me is Eric. He's this preppy kid, the really floppy, sort of parted in the middle haircut that's curly, and he's just a little weasel. You just want to strangle him. He's so annoying. Number 6, Kiki. I don't really have anything against her, but I just think the way she acts is kind of annoying. She's like one of the only cast members to make her way through the entire show. She just doesn't really do anything for me, so she's number 6. Number 5 is Kristen. Kristen is the tall, blonde, pretty girl, the cheerleader, the prom queen type of girl. And yeah, she's just kind of stuck up and prissy and fussy, and just not feeling her. Number 4 is Gary. He's the Cyclops, the sort of boring leader of the group. And he's also kind of a nerd. He wears glasses and stuff. He's kind of a tall know-it-all, but he usually tells good stories, and I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on him, so he's at number 4. Number 3 is Frank. This guy's the hothead, the one who wants to get into fights and trying to prove he's tough all the time. He's got this machismo, and he's the one who gets initiated in the first episode, and I think his anger and his ego and how fragile it is kind of makes for a lot of fun. He gets into it with Eric a lot. They dig at each other back and forth, and I enjoy it. I enjoy his hot-headedness. So his stories, I think, are the only ones that feature Dr. Vink. So I'm giving number 3 to Frank. Number 2 is David. This is a little kid, brown hair, really pale skin, really creepy looking guy. He looks exactly like Billy Corgan. I just really empathize with him. He just seems so quiet, and he has such a thick Canadian accent. He's just so cute and sweet and weak looking. I just can't help but be behind this guy, you know? And he wants to bang Kristen, which he gives her a gift on one episode, and it kind of seems like they're going to start dating. But I think eventually Gary swooped in on Kristen. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see as I continue to watch. And number 1 for me is Betty Ann. Betty Ann is a Latin American actress, I think. She's got darker skin, and she has her hair in a really cute little bob, and she always has a headband in, and she's always wearing like a crazy orange jacket or something like that. I really like Betty Ann. I think I've had a crush on her for a long time. And well, the thing is, when I was really young, I liked Kristen, and later on this other blonde, sort of aggressively attractive girl named Samantha comes on the show. Those are the two I liked when I was really young. But as I got older, I kind of shifted my interest over to Betty Ann, because Betty Ann's always smiling. She's always really enthusiastic about all the stories. She's always getting so excited and wrapped up in the stories. And she's just always nice to everyone, and she just seems down. She's game. That's the adjective. She's game. And that's why I like Betty Ann. She's really cute. And she's game. Yeah, I just have a crush on her, because Kristen is not going to sit down and watch a horror movie marathon with you. She's going to get, bored. She's going to want to do something. She's going to go out. She's going to want you to buy her dinner, or she's going to want to go out to a club or something. But Betty Ann, she's game. She's the type of girl who would sit down on the couch with you for 8 hours and watch a horror movie marathon and be laughing and having fun the whole time. And she'll eat pizza with you, and she'll drink beer, and she just seems like a lot of fun. She's game. Another thing I like about her too is she wasn't really an actress. She hasn't really done anything since. I don't even think she has a picture on IMDb. There is a picture of her floating around on the internet. It's just like her and a friend, and they look a lot older. They're maybe in their 30s by now, and she has a cat. But yeah, Betty Ann, she's my favorite for sure. Okay, out of all the scores on the show, I added them up and got the average. So the average score for this season is 3.54, which is pretty good. It's above average, and most of the episodes this season were at least enjoyable. They weren't a trudge. I thought just Tale the Hungry Hounds, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Tale the Captured Souls, those are the only ones that I found really difficult to get through. All the others were fun to watch. And okay, so episodes I would describe as bad, there was 3. But episodes I would describe as great, 7. So yes, this was a good season. I'm not going to give it an overall season rating yet, not until I can compare it to some of the other seasons. But for now, I thought it was a good season. Now let's get into some of these tropes, some of these reoccurring themes. The scared voice. Now, this occurs when a character in the tale, or even sometimes in the wraparound, will ask someone else if they're scared. They always do it in sort of this childish, sing-songy voice. What's the matter? Are you scared? Yeah, they always do it like that, and it happens in just about every single episode, usually multiple times. There's a lot of threats of child-on-child violence. You'll hear a lot of things like, I'm gonna pound you, or I'm gonna cream you. There's always a bully in the episode. There's always threats of violence. Which and I really enjoy it. I just think it's fun to see kids get pissed at each other. This show is what I would describe as an interracial extravaganza. They do their best to get everyone in there. They'll even have some obscure races in there from time to time. Although they do really skimp on the Middle Eastern characters, and I don't think they often have characters from places like Bangladesh or India or Sri Lanka or anything like that, but they do a good job representing the Asians, the blacks, the Latins, and the whites for sure. And there's a lot of interracial relationships on the show too, which I thought was pretty cool. There's a lot of gigantic t-shirts, usually tucked in, this is on men, with tight jeans, tight, really ugly looking jeans, like really light blue or this kind of faded black that just looked trashy. At the time, it was probably cool, but I always associate the fashion of the 90s with trashy, because I think when I was in high school, all the homeless people were still really dressing like they were in the 90s, and a lot of the, white trash women who'd smoke cigarettes and drink a lot, they'd have those really ugly jeans and denim jackets and the big hair, and yeah, so I always associate that with trash. And it's awesome. Huge t-shirts tiny little jeans. I used to dress like that as a kid. Sometimes I would wear a t-shirt that was so huge and shorts that were so short to school. It's some old pictures you see me and it looks like I'm wearing a dress almost because it looks like there's nothing on my legs. Huge t-shirts tucked into really tight jeans. You know, in the 90s, these guys, they had really crazy floppy hair. Everyone had really floppy hair. That's the only way I could describe it. But the girls, for the most part, the girls' hair was pretty tame. There wasn't a ton of hairspray or teasing going on. There was a couple of off-kilter ponytails, which I enjoyed, but for the most part, the girls' hair was pretty conservative, and the guys were just really floppy. There's a lot of awesome colors, just the ugliest, craziest colors. Bright oranges, gaudy greens, crazy purples. Everyone's just wearing crazy colors on the show. The pop music. Whenever some kid listens to the radio or is like dancing, you know, the stock pop like synthesizer and music they use is always hilarious. And but the actual score to the show I think is still really effective and creepy and really well done. The actual score, you know, not the, what do they call it? I think it's incidental music, but I could be wrong. The actual score is really good. Yeah, I think it does a good job of conveying the spooky atmosphere. Now, this is something that happens on almost every single episode. The villain will give out an evil laugh, and then it'll cut to commercial. I used to, there's this girl I used to talk to a lot, and I was always trying to kind of get under her skin, you know, which is something I pretty much do to everyone I know. I like to dig at people a little bit. Not too far, you know, just enough to make things interesting, just to have a little fun. But yeah, every time I would say something kind of, you know, misogynistic or just something dumb to piss her off, I would always laugh a little bit afterwards, you know, kind of like this. like a I don't know, some kind of laugh you hear a little shit making after they, I don't know, they make some horrible plans. But she used to always make fun of me. Every time I would do that laugh, she would respond with like a big crypt keeper kind of a like to make me feel emasculated or something. But anyways, kind of going off a tangent there. Sorry. You gotta listen to every time someone says sorry on the show, because they're Canadian, and they say it in the cutest way. They say it like this. Sorry. Sorry. They kind of say sorry. Sorry, and I just think it's adorable. So really listen up every time you hear anyone say sorry on the show. And okay, that's it for the tropes pretty much. Hopefully I'll find some more in season 2 that I can share with you guys. But I got a couple questions for you guys. And if you've made it this far and you feel like you have an answer to them, you know, leave them in the comments for me, please. What age do you think this show was going for? Because I was thinking, at what age would I be too old for this show, and what age would I have been too young? I don't know. It's hard for me to distinguish that because I've always had a lot of brand loyalty. A lot of things that I enjoyed as a kid, I pretty much never grew out of anything. Pretty much everything I liked as a kid I still like now. And it would often disappoint me to see people growing out of things. Like when someone would ask me, you know, oh, you still like metal? That's just something we liked in high school. I'll be like, no, I really liked it. I wasn't just pretending to like it to be cool or whatever, you know? And the same goes for Are You Afraid of the Dark? Which, you know, maybe I have a little bit too much loyalty. Maybe I shouldn't be watching a show like this, spending so much time watching the show that's meant for kids, but I still really do genuinely enjoy it. For a normal person who does grow out of things, what do you think is the age where a kid would be too old for Are You Afraid of the Dark and think it was awful? Because honestly, even when I should have been, you know, a really angry sort of someone really angry at their childhood who was trying to shed all that babyish stuff and become an adult, like when I was like 15 or 16, I still loved Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I made no bones about it. Who's your favorite cast member? Mine's obviously Betty Ann. Betty Ann, I love you. And what was your favorite episode of this season? For me, it's Tale of the Lonely Ghost. Alright, just about to get out of here, but I'm going to do 5 awards for this season. I'm not sure if I'll keep the same awards for each season, but for now, these are the 5 awards. Best Actor, Laura Bertrand. She was the main character from Tale of the Lonely Ghost. Awesome actress. She's still acting today. A lot of the actors, when you look them up on IMDb, they just did this and maybe a couple other kids shows back then, but then gave up acting. Worst actor, Maria Taylor. She was the main character in Tale of the Captured Souls. I just thought she was awful on this, but you know, I'm not going to give her too much of a hard time because she was just a kid, and I think she's still acting to this day. Best music. Best music is from the Tale of the Dark music, appropriately. This was the episode where the kid had to play music in his basement to get the evil closet to open up, and every time he played music on the radio, it was surprisingly really cool. Like this really cool kind of atmospheric 90s sort of alternative music. It was weird. Yeah, the episode had really cool music. Best bully. I'm going to go with Jason Tremblay, the older brother from The Tale of the Phantom Cab. Just a really angry, aggressive performance that really made me fear for his little brother's life. And the best joke, this as a kid killed me and my friends, and we would talk about it so often. But on the episode Tale of the Twisted Claw, the kind of wienerly friend is talking to his more hot-headed friend, and he's telling him, we can't fuck with this claw anymore. Every time we make a wish, something bad happens. His friend, the more aggressive one, says, I don't care, I'm gonna make the wish. I don't care if it jumps up and picks my nose. Which nowadays is not that funny at all, but when I was a kid, I was dying laughing. That always just got a huge response out of me. That joke was killer to me. Okay, guys, so I guess that's all I have to say about Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm getting really excited for Halloween, which is weird because it's on a school night, and I'm probably going to end up going to bed at around 6:30, and I'm not going to do anything fun. I'm just going to hand out chips. My grandfather bought chips for this Halloween because he's pre-diabetic, so he's laying off the sugar, and in our town, for some reason, there's not a lot of trick-or-treating going on. Maybe because the kids don't want to go out after night. I certainly wouldn't want to walk these streets at night. Yeah, so we're handing out chips. And we're probably going to have a lot left over, which is why my grandpa got chips, because he wanted something he could actually eat. Because if we had a bunch of leftover candy, he wouldn't be able to eat it. Anyways, I'm still excited for Halloween. Been watching horror movies and just getting into the mood, listening to a lot of metal. And I hope you guys are too. Alright, so I'll be back with Season 2, hopefully really soon. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Sunday. Maybe if I don't feel like going to the gym or washing any clothes, I'll just lay on my ass and watch all of Season 2 tomorrow. I guess a guy can dream, right? Alright, see ya.
Ooh, a cliffhanger.